So in this video, I'm going to be showing you the latest tent from OEX, the Hyena 2. Now, even though it's the latest tent out, it's heavy. It comes in at 3 kilos in weight, and OEX have made some cutbacks to make this tent affordable for people who want to start camping on a budget, let's say, beginners camping, or if you want to go to a festival and places like that, where you don't mind if it's going to get ruined and you're not too bothered about taking it home. So the price for this is £65. It's a very low budget tent, but for the material what they're using, especially the fly sheet, it isn't too bad. Now they have cut down on a lot of stuff, like I think I've already said. So I'm going to show you the parts that they've cut down on and what they've changed. I think to keep this at a low price, is that a bad thing or is it a good thing? So previous OEX tents that I've had, and believe me, I've got a lot of the OEX equipment, they always seem to separate the fly sheet from the inner, and they'll put the poles in one of them and the pegs in the other just to keep it all separated. So I actually do think they put the fly sheet and the poles together and the inner and then the pegs together. I think that's how it goes. But like I say, they made that many cutbacks probably to keep this tent low in price. It all comes in just one stuff sack. Now I've used this tent a couple of weeks ago and it's not too bad. I just wish they may or would have spent a little bit more money maybe and just changed some things. If it would have been a £70 tent, £75 tent and just changed a few things, it could have made this tent even better. So it's all in, like I say, wooden stuff sack, everything falls out. You can attach this bag to the side of your rucksack if you want to do, just by attaching them there. So here's one of the killers, what I think they really shouldn't have done this. They're using fiberglass poles. So I think a lot of people who do camping, they know in wind, heavy wind, fiberglass poles do intend to fail. I think that's a topic between yes and no. What do you think? Have you had any poles, fiberglass poles, what haven't broken high winds? I've had it where it's happened, well, not with an OEX tent, with the Yellowstone one-man tent. So fiberglass poles do break, they're not as strong. And then they've gone back to the very, very cheap basic pegs. But it's a £65 tent, what could we really be expecting? You know, I said a very cheap tent. These tents are very affordable, aren't they, really, if you want to get into camping for the first time and you don't want to spend a lot of money. Well, when I talk about the fly sheet and the hydrostatic head, the waterproof level, you will actually see for a £65 tent, the hydrostatic head on this one is not too bad. I think you can see here, but the tent does come attached to the fly sheet and the inner already, so you don't have to sit there trying to put these through these holes. It already comes attached. So what that means is it's an outer pitch tent, what is really good if it's windy weather and wet. There's not worse than trying to get your inner up and then you've got to attach the fly sheet to it when it's windy, and then when it's really, really wet, horrible rainy weather, having an outer pitch tent first is good, because like you're seeing, it's all attached to it. So basically you just have to put your tent out, peg it down a little bit in each corners, put your poles through and your tent's up, and the inside of this tent stays quite dry. So when you're putting one of your poles in, if you look here, it has this tag on it. So that means this end here goes with it. Now, that is like a silvery colour. They put black tape on this, but you'll see how I know it's for this side when I do the next side of it. So you just got to feed your tent through this here. Well, when I say you got to feed your tent, what that means is you got to feed your pole through it. So the next side is to put like a yellowy goldy label on there, and at the bottom of this pole to put some yellow tape, so that goes through this side. So the next part, they've gone back to old school with this. I've not seen this on tents for a long time. See these here? This has to go inside there like that. I have not seen that a long time in tents. So you see this here? It's like a tension strap. So what that'll do is when you clip your ground sheet to the tent like that, then it pulls all this pretty tight. So this is one thing I thought OEX would have taken off, but no, kept them on. So let's start talking about some of the things to do with the tent. First we'll talk about the length. The full size of the tent is 310 centimetres and the width of it is 130 centimetres and the highest point is 115 centimetres. So I'm sat up here, tunnel tent, so it obviously goes like a tunnel, but it's got a high point just as you're getting into the tent, and then it gets smaller as you get in, you know, to the bottom of the tent. So under the 15 centimetres, I can sit up very well. Let's see how far back I can get. I'm about here now. Yeah, and I'm touching top of the tent, about halfway down. But summertime, we like to spend a lot more of the time outside the tent, don't we? Get into the tent as we decide to go to sleep. So it has got a couple of good features with the tent. Is they do give you 4 pockets, 2 here at each side. So 2-man tunnel tent, so 2 people, they like to say. 2 pockets here and 2 at the opposite side, and the air vent is pretty big. So the air vent, that will help cut down the condensation a lot in this tent. Somewhere to hang like your light or maybe your glasses. So just say you're in the tent at night, it's 2 of you in here, it's getting a little bit warm, you can always open the top layer of the door like so, and that'll allow airflow coming through, but no bugs or flies will enter the tent because it's got this mesh here. And you can tuck the door just in the side pocket there. Don't unzip all of it. Tuck that away, just like that. So it's out of the way, you're not standing all over it. So this is one thing I do not like about the door. See this little stopper? So your zip can go no longer anywhere down the tent, and your bottom one can go no higher, so it stops there. I get it, it's so you know where your zips are in the morning, but I don't think I've ever had an issue wondering where my zips are, so I will be cutting that stopper off there 100%. Right, so one thing OEX have done, let's see if I can get that to be a little bit better for you. There we go. They've gone back to this really tacky floor design, but it's strong. I don't think it rips ever, but you know, it's just that horrible noisy material stuff. What we do need to remember is, like I've said, it's a low budget tent for somebody starting in wild camping, or for taking to a festival, concerts, or just something to throw up in garden so your kids can play in. I've used this other weekend and it threw it down. Now, one thing about this tent is out of fly sheet is 5,000 hydrostatic head. I will say now, hands up in the air, I've had no OEX tents leak on me with that hydrostatic headness. I don't think I've seen many people on YouTube complaining about it either, to be truthful with you. They're just, the material they use and how they make it so waterproof, none of these tents ever leak. But there's something I'm going to show you what someone did say to me. One thing I will say is your vestibule area on the inside is absolutely massive. Got enough room in there to boil a little bit of water if you want, but do be careful with that. You got enough room for, say, your boots, even your rucksack out of the tent. A lot of room there, very, very generous doorway there. So, someone were on about the windows on my Facebook group. If you just put in OEX owner group on Facebook, my group will pop up. Add yourself to it if you want. A lot of OEX users there. The gentleman says he don't like this plastic tacky window idea in case it leaks. Well, if it leaks, you can see it's actually separated from your sleeping area. This is in the vestibule area, so if it does leak, you and yourself are not going to start getting wet through the night. But you can see where they've taped it right at the bottom there. See what I mean? You can see the tape line come over it, and it's all the way around these windows, so I doubt they're going to leak at all. I just talked about its hydrostatic head of 5,000. So on just above both of the windows, you're going to find these air vents. You can unclip that if you want and shut the air vent in case it's a bit too windy. Always keep them open, it helps with the condensation levels. And same again, you got one at the back. From the inside where I showed you the big vent at the back, this is the air vent there. Same again, you can close it if you want, but I always leave it open. So the tent, it's perfect for first time campers, isn't it? Maybe if you're going to throw it back of your motorbike, find yourself a campsite. Great for campsite camping for 2 of you. 3 of you if you want to be in a bit of a squeeze. It's perfect for all that. But when I use this tent, people were commenting on my Facebook group. I'll link that in the description below. 5,000 members. It's perfect. People are buying OEX equipment. If they think, you know, they want to upgrade to a bigger tent, they're selling the tents in that group for cheaper. So sometimes you can pick up OEX tents and other parts of equipment even cheaper within that group. Like I said, I'll link it in the description below for you. So people are on about, they won't buy the tent as it is because there's a few things that they don't like about it. One with the windows. Some people are not liking the windows on this tent, and that the poles are fiberglass. And I think the gentleman said the ground sheet is not really good for his liking. So I ran about to people, would they buy the tent if they got rid of this stuff? Took the windows out, changed the poles over to aluminium poles and sorted the ground sheet out. Like they got them on the Raccoon, the Bobcat tents and stuff, and people were saying they buy the tent for a little bit more money then. So that's something OEX could look into. But as a beginner's tent for yourselves, if you're thinking about buying this, just for a little simple weekend camping trip, for £65, it's not bad. I don't think you can go wrong there. So I do agree with what the people have been talking about the windows and the poles. Change them plus the floor sheet, change them over, the tent would be a lot better, and I'd pay a little bit more money to get the new up-to-date version of this tent, 100%. So if you like this video and you want to see more, you can click here by subscribing to my channel. I'll leave the camping trip up there, what I did using this tent. Caution, I got a bit tipsy in that video, so things may not be as my normal videos are. But on that bombshell, as someone says, Jeremy Clarkson, I'm going to get off. Thanks for watching.